on YouTube. Yeah. Yeah. All right. We are live on YouTube. We are live on YouTube. How's everyone doing today? How's it going, everybody? Welcome to episode number 1236. That's right. Episode number 1236 of Navigating the Modern World with Eli, the Walking with Purpose live edition. Live again today from Red Morton Park. GLM is first today. Dawn will be here shortly. And there she is. Hey, ladies. Hey, Dawn, my love, babe. Today's topic is every live stream is a deposition without a lawyer. One more time. Today's topic is every live stream is a deposition without a lawyer. The irony of this topic, literally 15 minutes before the defendant of my circuit civil case goes live, not on his drama channel, but live on his movie slash arts and entertainment channel, right? The one that's monetized, even though he's been removed from the platform many times. He's circumventing, including he's been removed from the YouTube partner program like two or three other times over the last several years. Anyway, hey, him and YouTube can figure that out, whatever, right? But I've got a lot to talk about here today. So I came out here a little bit earlier, just about maybe 15 to 30 minutes earlier. So you're going to probably be able to see me for the first lap or maybe even part of the second lap. I'm going to do 2 laps and walk around the lot for a little bit. And then I'm going to go home to my lovely lady Dawn and we're going to have some dinner and hang out. Now, today's show, let's see. Hey, GLM, great stream this morning. Absolutely, it was a great stream. And I got to tell you, GLM, you are brilliant with how you do things. Although I would never attempt to do those things on my channel here, not because it's really anything wrong besides the potential platform enforcement. But I gotta say, I'd say last 2 or 3 or 4 times I've been a special guest on your stream, and I consider myself a special guest because I appreciate the fact that you entertain me on your channel. The last 3 or 4 times I've been on there, it's been great, and apparently it's massively affected the defendant in my circuit civil case and his entire people. And we're going to address this, and hopefully, if what I think is starting to happen actually happens, then starting tomorrow, I don't have to talk about them or this for a while because I've got other things to start focusing on. You and Don are always welcome. Well, thank you for that. Did you respond to the poll, latest poll within the latest community posting here on GNA2, Genuine Live Personal Development, GLM? The latest poll is, do you love Don and Eli? Or are you a big fan of Don and Eli? Sorry, are you a big fan of Don and Eli? Or are you a fan of Don and Eli? Something like that. Please go respond to the poll if you already haven't. We are not. We are not entertaining. We are not entertaining negative. Okay. All right. Put a 1 in the chat if you can hear me and see me. Put a 1 in the chat if you can hear me and see me. Sorry, I had to go offline for a second. There were a couple of kids over there, and I wanted to make sure they weren't going to do something improper. Thank you, babe. LOL, I picked the first one. Yeah. Wonderful. That's the right one to pick. Well, here's the thing. Our postings do not give any options for negative responses. The first response is, yes. It's something to the extent of yes, we love Eli and Don a lot, and then the other one was just yes, right? So they're both positive responses. We don't encourage negative responses here at the GNA, especially when we've had a group of people that have been attacking us for years, and they love to skew our polls. So if you want to skew our poll, it's going to have to be in a positive way, right? But anyway, so yeah, there's a lot to talk about here. I'm going to try to get it done within the next hour and 20 minutes or so. But yeah, apparently the defendant made a posting on his community wall promoting his live stream on his movie/arts and entertainment channel, right? And he said, tired of drama, blah, 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 right? No, they're not tired of drama, sir. I think that you're beginning to realize that your exposure, your liability exposure, which has been very high from the very beginning, I think you're really beginning to realize that your liability exposure is through the roof, and what you keep doing continues to further shoot it not only through the roof but through the stratosphere, right? And it's a way to shift gears without having to admit that to your audience, right? It's an obvious thing, because if the drama and the Eli stuff was still profitable to you, which it still would be, but the liability exposure, the platform risk exposure, and the fact that my correcting the record streams, not only you, but by someone you started associating with again earlier last year, Miss T, all that stuff that she's done and you've done, my correcting the record streams, along with going on GLM's panel and basically debunking all of your lies and all that, has pretty much boxed you in. And then this guy wants to flip it and now start making YouTube shorts using a baby. It's not even a caricature of me. He's trying to use shorts and use baby Eli and put me in a box and saying I'm so boxed in. I mean, I get it. It's low risk for platform enforcement and low risk for court enforcement, right? But what is it really generating you? Absolutely nothing. It's not getting you a damn thing. It's only feeding the same audience, which is already starting to dwindle because they're tired of the same old thing and there's nothing new. And then you and Miss T have been trying to drum up new things and you can't. Right? And all of you keep making threats that, oh, you're going to play streams where Don did this and Don said that from years ago. And then you've all said that you have all those copies, but somebody buys a membership on my channel last night while I'm live. I put all those members only videos to private. And all of a sudden you guys are shifting gears over to the, movie channel, the movie arts and entertainment channel. But the funny thing is, Mr. Defendant and Miss T, the defendant's best buddy in this community, right? At least that's what you think. You don't even realize how disposable you are to him, in my opinion. But anyway, that's for you to find out at some point down the road, right? The thing is, you folks are avoiding answering the questions that really count, answering the things that I debunked yesterday in my Correcting the Record stream, right? And the defendant is basically trying to say I'm crazy because I said this the other day that I give him permission, only permission to use this one stream that I did, Correcting the Record stream. I was waiting for that guy to drive by. I gave him permission to use it because I wanted him to answer all of the things I mentioned, respond to all the things I mentioned in the Correcting the Record stream, right? And he, instead of doing that stream, which I gave him my blessing, just for that one, I can give my blessing for individual streams. I can, give permission and revoke permission anytime. For that one stream, have at it, right? I will not take you down for that one stream. I will not enforce that one stream in copyright court or in the circuit civil court. Right? He comes back and says, well, this guy is suing me in federal copyright court. He's going to sue me, but he wants to give me permission for this one stream. Yes, there's a reason for that, sir, and you know that reason. The reason is you were never going to review that stream in the first place. You still can. You won't. You know why? Because then you would have to admit that your closest associate, Miss T, ran a transcript of GLM stream from yesterday, not today, not earlier today, yesterday. Ran it through ChatGPT and publicly defamed me by accusing me of defamation for things I never said on that stream, right? So, in essence, sir, you're realizing I can't, even if Eli gave me written blessing to use this entire stream, if I do it, it's going to make me look worse because the show speaks for itself. The show's still publicly available, plus Eli has downloaded copies, I do. And Eli can prove that my associate that I'm acting in concert with, Miss T, defamed him by accusing him of saying things on GLM stream that came out of her mouth, not mine. Right? To try to make it look like I'm doing something wrong to continue feeding their audience of Eli haters what they want. Even the haters are beginning to see that you folks are falling apart, right? Even the haters are beginning to see that you guys are falling apart. Absolutely, GLM, you're right about that. You're right. She thinks she's smarter than all of us. She thinks she can outsmart me. But that is never, ever, ever going to happen. All right, let me come over here. So the real reason that you didn't tell your audience, Mr. J, a.k.a. the defendant, is because responding to my Correcting the Record stream would make you look worse than just keeping your mouth shut, right? I'm actually telling you to talk. I'm actually giving you permission to use that stream. I can do that. It doesn't matter if I'm suing you. You see, we can do many things at once, Mr. J, and it's perfectly normal and reasonable. Okay? We're both YouTubers, right? We're both YouTubers, and this is something that's affecting my reputation out here, right? Now, I'm not affecting your reputation because all I'm doing is saying the truth. You're affecting your own reputation by lying and being called out with hardcore and cold hard facts by me that you can't respond to, which is why you're ignoring it and switching over to the movie channel, which let's see what kind of engagement you get there tonight, right? Right, you folks criticize my engagement, right? Let's see what kind of engagement you get there tonight when people that are your supporters, right, your supposed supporters, are people that more so are here for my content, not yours, right? So let's see what happens. Okay, let's see what happens, right? Now, what else were they going to say? There's a bunch to talk about. Oh, yeah. Let's talk about the hearing upcoming in February. I'm not sure if the defendant noticed this, but I noticed this a while back. I just didn't get a chance to take care of it until today. Still plenty of time, right? So everyone knows that in February, next month, less than a month from now, the first hearing of this case is coming up. It is the spoliation of evidence / adverse inference hearing. The defendant basically is saying that I destroyed evidence. That's what spoliation of evidence means in plain English, right? He's accusing me of destroying evidence when A, the evidence still exists. The videos are private. There are 200 videos that I put to private on my channel to protect my channel from false flagging of his people and for protection of harassing comments. I also have the exact backup copies of all of those streams and videos. I sent an email to the defendant offering him all of those, that I would host them on my coach.eliasmelas.com website. They would be privately hosted and only accessible to anyone with the link. They can stream it off the link or they can download it from the link, right? Same exact thing, right? I sent him an email, I offered him that, and he said that he declined and that he's going to put it in the court's hand, because at that time I think he was looking more for a YouTube optics win and not to handle this professionally, right? So, okay, so now we're going to have a hearing over this, right? Anyway, I sent him the email. He replied back, and I was going to file the email trail regarding that instance with the defendant with the court, but he did it for me. He did me a favor. He actually filed the email I sent him. My God, why are people coming the same way I'm coming? Ah, boy. It is what it is. I lose my train of thought. I need clarity. I need space and clarity to think clearly. So, the defendant filed the email I sent him, and his response to me to the court did me a favor, right? That's on the docket. Great. We can easily refer to that at the hearing. I can tell Judge Stacy what docket number to go because, I mean, he put exactly what was on there. And it shows that I tried to handle this and give him what he wants. And then I even filed with the court that all the evidence is available, right? He wanted to make it difficult for YouTube optics and theatrics and all that, right? And so he can go to his audience and say, Eli's spoiling evidence, right? Anyway, so that hearing, we had 3 dates, February 3rd, February 4th, and February 6th, 2026, right? I'm waiting for people to walk on by. And both the defendant and I agreed on February 3rd. Both the defendant and I agreed on February 3rd. We both told the judicial assistant that February 3rd works. And then what we both didn't realize right away, maybe he realized it and didn't say anything, thinking I'm going to show up on the 3rd instead of the 6th. And these people think I'm dumber than I look, right? That's a figure of speech. Come on. If you can't take a stab at yourself every now and then you shouldn't be able to talk about anyone or anything else, right? So he and I both agreed to January 3rd. And we didn't realize the judicial assistant scheduled the hearing for January 6th at 1:30 p.m. Eastern, which is 10:30 a.m. Pacific time, my time, right? He's in Florida, I'm in California, San Francisco Bay Area. So I sent an email to the judicial assistant today asking for clarity because I wanted to make sure that the actual date is what's in the judicial automated calendaring system, the JACS, and that the notice of hearing is not the time of the case. So I was trying to figure out what was going on. I ran it through ChatGPT analysis, and I kept going back and forth with ChatGPT, and between ChatGPT and my own common sense and all of this, what ended up happening was both the defendant and I stated in our emails that we're available on any days, but we prefer the 3rd, right? And we prefer the 3rd, but we're available for any day. Right? So the defendant went and created the notice of hearing. He actually did the notice of hearing regarding this hearing properly. But the judicial assistant scheduled the hearing for February 6th. Right? And basically, it's February 6th. She confirmed it today by email. I emailed the judicial assistant, carbon copy the defendant. The defendant did not respond. I'm sure he got it. And the judicial assistant said there's no hearing scheduled for the 3rd. The hearing is scheduled for the 6th at 1:30 for these, motions. And it was the spoliation of evidence and adverse inference. And then my response is objections and, all that stuff, right? So to make a long story short, the hearing is January 6th at 1:30 p.m. Eastern, and it'll be via Microsoft Teams for the both of us. Now, he could show up in court if he wants, But I mean, I don't know why. I don't know why he would drive down to the courthouse unless he just feels like he wants to be in a courthouse. It is going to be a virtual hearing, right? So that's that's the latest update. That happened earlier today. The defendant is not talking about that. I want to update everyone and let them know what's going on, and also publicly put it out there in case the defendant does not acknowledge it publicly, that the hearing for the spoliation of evidence / adverse inference is January 6th at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time, which is 10:30 a.m. Pacific Time. Now, what I'm going to be working on in the meantime, it won't take me too long, is I'm going to be proactive. Hey, Tia, how are you doing? I'm going to be proactive. Let me wait for this person to go ahead. I'm going to be proactive, and even though the defendant denied me offering him the evidence outside of this hearing, which is not going to make a difference. I mean, pretty much, I'm not a judge, and I can't read Judge Stacy's mind, but I have common sense, and I'm just assuming that when I file this with the court and present it to Judge Stacy at the hearing, she's going to be like, where's the spoliation of evidence? Where's the adverse inference? She's going to be probably thinking in her head, why are we even here? And what I should tell her is, we're here, Your Honor, Honorable Judge Stacy, because the defendant has been using this as his YouTube content and didn't want to accept me offering him the evidence because that would kill his narrative of him accusing me of spoliation of evidence, right? For YouTube optics. But I'm not going to tell that to Judge Stacy. You know why? Because Judge Stacy is not going to care about what happens on YouTube, and I don't blame her. I'm telling you folks that because you're the audience, right? That's what I should tell Judge Stacy, and she would better understand it. But it's irrelevant because the only thing Judge Stacy is going to care about is, did I spoil evidence or not? Has the evidence been permanently destroyed, or can it be produced even in a different way besides it being the public live stream it once was before Mr. Melas put it to private to protect his channel, right? Here it is, Your Honor. I filed this docket number. We're actually above 100 docket numbers. Holy Moses, I cannot believe in 4 months. How many? 4 months, the guy has not even answered my original complaint yet, or now it's my second amended complaint. The guy hasn't even responded to my complaint. This is almost 4 months in this case, and he filed a motion to dismiss / anti-slap pretty much right away, and that's 100 plus docket items before we even get to the heart of the case. Your Honor, docket number 101, 102, 103, 104, whatever it'll be at that point. Hey, ball tires in the rain, if he wanted it. No, that's cool, ball tires in the rain. Ball tires in the rain is good. Well, here's the thing. He should have downloaded everything, and he probably has downloaded a bunch of them, right? But I think he was trying to do it for YouTube content, right? He was trying to continue painting me as the bad man he always has by saying, look at Eli in his own case. He's destroying evidence. This is spoliation of evidence, right? Right? That's all it boils down to, right? Please smash the thumbs up. Thank you, Tia. Hey, Tia, how are you doing? Welcome. Um, so yeah, all Judge Stacy's going to care about is the evidence available to corroborate the defendant's statement in his filing. So he's your defendant. You're using those videos to corroborate what you wrote in your filings that you attached my public video links to, right? And honestly, I don't even think I would challenge what you're saying there. Like, the bottom line is those videos were only attached to corroborate you saying what I said, right? Right? To corroborate what you wrote about what I said on those streams, right? And I've looked at all those filings, and I don't think there's, your interpretation of what I said, I'm going to argue in court. But if you basically, copied and pasted a transcript that's, not a messed up transcript, there's nothing to argue there. That speaks for itself. Right? Anyway, regardless, I'm going to create a notice of filing of evidentiary materials for the spoliation of evidence / adverse inference hearing. And I'm going to proactively submit everything he's accusing me of regarding spoliation of evidence. I'm going to share screenshots from the back end of YouTube Studio showing the time of the video and corroborating that with each video. The bottom line is the defendant knows I have the exact copies. He knows they're unedited. He knows he's being unreasonable. He knows he did this for YouTube theatrics and to try to paint me as a bad person. But now he's got to go to court and answer why he didn't accept my evidence. And then when I proactively submit the evidence before the hearing date, and I'll submit it at least a week in advance, right? I mean, what's going to happen at that point? Listen, I'm not Judge Stacy. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a judge. Judges are attorneys, right? Judges have a law degree. They went to law school. They practiced law before they became a judge, right? I'm not an attorney. I'm not a judge. What I do have is common sense, right? And on top of being a judge and an attorney, Judge Stacy has common sense. And she's going to be wondering, why the heck are we... And she's not going to say this out loud. She's going to be professional. I'm waiting for these people to pass on by. She's going to be professional. But in her head, if I'm Judge Stacy, or if I'm the judge of this case, in my head, I'm going to be like, well, thank you. That dude just took pictures of me. Well, we're in a public space. I doubt those people are with the defendant's team. If those find their way out on YouTube, then God, man, God bless America. Maybe I'm freaking famous. These people are taking pictures of me at the park. Oh well. I take these off. It's going to start to get dark. So yeah, I mean. Oh, and another thing. When it comes to the February 6th hearing at 1:30 Eastern regarding spoliation of evidence and adverse inference, right? At least from what the defendant has stated publicly, he's going to bring up the January 9th hearing. And he's going to try to accuse me in front of Judge Stacy that I lied about the date. Go right ahead, sir. I've already got my answer prepared for that. And quite frankly, on top of the evidence I'm going to have there, which will make Judge Stacy wonder why we're even there in the first place and where is the spoliation and adverse inference, right? On top of that, you're going to further show her your character by trying to accuse me of lying over a different court date, right? Over me following the proper procedure, which the court sided with me. That entire January 9th hearing spectacle you created, Mr. Defendant, was escalated by the JA to the court, aka Judge Stacy, and Judge Stacy had to get back to her judicial assistant and lay down the law because instead of you understanding procedure, you decided to more so understand YouTube optics and theatrics, right? So do you see how this is going to go? Here's the thing. I'm not an attorney, and I'm not a dumb shit, despite what some of you may think, right? But I'm ready. All right, I'm going to have to go around the other way because there are a lot of people there with dogs. Please let me know if I get cut off, right? Oh, my. I mean, I've already got this case in my head. I'm going to have notes to stay on point, but I don't even need notes. I could walk around like an attorney if I was in the actual courtroom, right? And recite it off the top of my head. Judges don't have time for pettiness. Right. Can you still hear me, Tia? Put a 1 in the chat if you can hear me clearly and see me clearly, please. Looks like we're still good for now, right? Thank you, ODN TV says 1, right? Okay. Thank you, Tia says 1, right? So, you want to walk into the hearing on January 9th. Well, you're probably going to be on Microsoft Teams with me. You want to show up virtually to the hearing on January 6th. Not January, sorry. February 6th. I got that screwed up. I'm getting distracted by the noises. On February 6th, you want to show up to that virtual hearing and try to be petty over an administrative scheduling thing that has nothing to do with the actual merits of the case. It's an administrative thing. Those emails are not sworn statements. It's just scheduling, right? And you want to make it sound like it's something, law breaking. I followed procedure. That's all that matters. That's all Judge Stacy's going to care for. But if you want to bring it up, I've already got my response. It's going to be simple and brief. And neither you or the courts are going to try to pry into my private life and ask me, what myself and my lady Dawn, were doing during part of the time of the block of time required to be available for that block of hearing time for the 9th, right? It's up to you. It's up to him what he wants to do. It's totally up to him, right? So that's the latest on that. Again, today is January 14th. Let me see. We have 15, 16. I think it's what, 22 days away. Let's start the countdown. I believe the hearing is 22 days away. And over the weekend and throughout next week, I'm going to be working on, looking at all the videos that the defendant needs. I've got them all on my external drive, the exact copy. I'm going to upload them very quickly to my server. That's why it's great to have fiber, 1,000 up, 1,000 down. Then I'm going to file the court as a notice of filing for evidentiary purposes for the spoliation of evidence / adverse inference hearing. Okay, that's it. There we go. I'm not trying to hide anything. I'm not spoiling anything. I'm not doing anything wrong. Right? And I think everyone knows that now. Now, let's get to the last part I wanted to talk about here. We talked about the defendant pivoting, the stove is too hot, being boxed in, and like the title states, every live stream is a deposition without a lawyer. Every live stream, the defendant and even Ms. T and anyone else does from his group is a deposition. It's like a deposition without an attorney, right? Because anything you say publicly on these streams can and will be used against you in a court of law, right? Just like when they read you your Miranda rights when you get arrested, which has never happened to me, okay? But people have seen on TV, whether you've been arrested or not, people know what your Miranda rights are. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. You have the right to an attorney. If you cannot afford an attorney will be appointed to you. It's like the public defender, right? And ask my lady about public defenders. You don't want a public defender. In my lady's first case, she had a public defender. And when she was dealing with an issue, when she was with me, we hired an actual attorney. And she did a very, very good job. And the right outcome happened. Right? So those are your Miranda rights. Right? What I'm saying here is a figure of speech saying every time these people go live, it's like a deposition without an attorney. They're yep. They're running their mouths saying primarily false things about myself and others so they can enrage their audience into donating to them and commercially exploiting the people they're talking about, right? Right? And it's basically like they're being deposed, and that's how they're answering the deposition, and there's no attorney there telling them to keep their mouth shut, right? There are a lot of people at the park tonight. Right? So that's why I titled the stream the way I titled it. Okay? Now, the last part of the show, let's talk about Miss T. Miss T acting in concert with the defendant. Right? You're still trying to yep. You're still trying to sound all tough on your community wall, right? You're making lots of threats, especially regarding past content on my lady Dawn, that I've already told you and anyone else, go ahead and put it out there if you've got it. And I know you have some of it. You, Miss T, are claiming you have all of it. I doubt that. There were a lot of members-only live streams that we did that none of you rebroadcasted, and you don't have those. But that account that bought a $9.99 membership last night before I put those videos to private, and I put other videos up to members only, that sock account bought a membership because they were going to screen record every single one of them. Because you can't download members-only videos. They were going to screen record them and then make them into watch parties, right, Miss T? Miss T, did you want to get all of those videos? There was a lot of them. There was, I think there was like 25 or 30 of them. Did you want to get all of those and have a watch party for a month straight and try to further defame, harass, and commercially exploit my lady Dawn and I? Is that what you wanted to do? Now, again, you folks have some of that content. I know you do. Some of you were rebroadcasting a bunch of those streams from back then. At the very most, you may have 25 to 40% of them. You don't have them all. And if I had to guess, you have less than 25% of them between you, Miss T, and the defendant, right? But here's the thing, right? I'm telling you, go ahead and do what you got to do. You're threatening to put them out regarding Dawn, to debunk certain things, right? Put them out at your own risk. I'm not giving you permission to use the content, right? But, hey, if at your own risk you want to try to, do something like that under fair use, right? Do what you got to do. At the same time, Miss T, how does this look during a time where your best bud, the defendant, in my case, is in active litigation? How is that going to look when you're acting in concert with him? And now you folks are trying to attack my girlfriend and commercially exploit her and take past videos of her and paint her in a negative light. That's not the purpose of those videos. The purpose of those videos were to show where she was then and where she is now, right? She's grown past that. She's worked past all of that stuff. She's gotten clean and sober, but you folks want to sit there and smash her about her past. That's already been done at the time it was happening. You want to go ahead and relive that, revisit that, because right now you have another content, right? So I'm telling you, if you've got them, go ahead and put them out. But you're doing that against my will. You're doing that against my permission, right? And you also risk platform enforcement, okay? That's all up to you. Do what you got to do, right? And then you have to also look at it, how is this going to make the defendant look in the court? And then when you get out of the case later this year, how's that going to make it look for you, right? But here's the thing, Miss T. You never responded to what I said on my stream from the studio yesterday to correct the record, and what I also mentioned on GLM stream earlier this morning, where I was talking more in detail about it. You never answered and corrected the fact that you accused me of defamation, saying defamatory things when it was actually GLM that said those things. And you showed a transcript saying the plaintiff, which is me, said those things, and I didn't say them. You fed a transcript with multiple speakers, and you didn't separate the speakers in your transcript, and you try to make it appear like I was the defamatory one when I wasn't. How about you discuss that? Why are you avoiding that? Is that why also the defendant is avoiding reviewing that stream of mine from yesterday? or GLM stream from earlier today or yesterday, why aren't you folks reviewing that? Because it exposes your operation and you're embarrassed. But you don't think your own audience recognizes that? Listen, your own audience doesn't like me, they never will. But at the same time, your own audience doesn't want to be lied to by you, right? And by the way, where is your audience right now while you're talking about movies to an audience that's there for Eli drama? They're over here. And I'm not here to spin drama. I'm here to share the facts and the truth. They're all here. They're not there, right? Good evening, Lewis. How you doing? I meant every word I said. I know how you are, GLM. So, Miss T, if you're going to talk about it, then be about it. Go live tomorrow morning and start putting out the videos of Dawn. And let's see what happens. If you're someone of your word, go live first thing in the morning and do a new stream on Dawn content and play large portions of it and play portions and say nasty things. Go and do it. You said you got it. You said you want to put it out there. Now I'm saying if you're going to talk about it, be about it. Because if you're not, then you're proving more so my point that you're all just hot air, right? Because your own audience is here watching me right now, seeing me calling you out, calling your bluff. And if you don't call my bluff, whether they like me or not, they don't like me, but whatever. They're seeing me call your bluff. If you don't react to it, how do you think that's going to come off, Miss T? Don't just talk about it, be about it, right? But just understand, if you do it, there are going to be lots of people watching. And there are going to be lots of people looking for platform violations, ma'am. Right? And that also includes if you use more than what's considered to be fair use, that also includes copyright enforcement, ma'am. Right? But you're talking. You're saying you've got them all. Then put them all out. And if not, then digress. Either prove it or stand down. Right? Prove it or stand down. Nobody believes you. Your engagement down the toilet. I can even tell you this, Miss T. I don't even think the defendant believes you anymore, and he's even seeing how you're handling things. And I think the defendant's even realizing no matter what you say, Miss T, or what he says, the public sees what actually happens. I think the defendant's even seeing he made some big mistakes when he supposedly took some of your advice or reunited with you, right? I bet the defendant wishes he hadn't done that now, because this whole thing would have probably been completely different, right? You see, the funny thing is, Miss T, whatever you put your hands on, from what I've seen, in my opinion, whatever you put your hands on, whatever you touch, implodes, right? Every group you've been a part of has always just imploded or fallen apart. That's factual about your track record, in my opinion, from what I've seen. It's factual. So I'll just say, yeah, it's true, because that's the truth of the matter, right? So, and if you're going to talk about it, be about it. or pretty much you're showing your own people that your words don't mean anything. You're not trustworthy, and you're doing this to yourself, right? There were like 30 to 35 videos, man. Start putting them out tomorrow, one day after the other. I get up around 6:30. That's 8:30 Eastern. Heck, I can get up earlier. I'll be looking. I'll be looking for your streams on my lovely lady Dawn. Right? Right. What kind of happiness do they really have? Would rather be alone in one room in solitude than be with those kinds of people. GLM with the facts. Well, GLM says everything that lady touches, in her opinion, gets destroyed. Put a one. Let me ask you folks this. Put a one in the chat if you feel that if the defendant never rejoined forces and became friends again with Miss T earlier last year around April of 2025, that the defendant probably would not be in the situation he's in right now, even legally with me, because she's the one that pushed him to try to get a stalking order on me. 111 says ODN, right? Are you seeing this, Mr. Defendant? You'll watch this after your pathetic movie show, in my opinion, that's going to get maybe 100 views, maybe 120. You'll probably stop it after an hour because you'll be like, oh, no donations, maybe a few donations, and Eli's got the audience because he's talking about drama. It's not drama, man. This is reality for me, right? You're talking through your heart, Eli. All these other people are talking through their butt. You're right. Here, Lewis, if I can give you a big round of applause out here on mobile, I would. You know, like in the studio, I've got the digital buttons on the laptop. I don't have that here, but big round of applause, Lewis Fuller. Big round of applause for you. She really is the cause of most of the BS. Absolutely. She is. She is. I think every single person in the defendant's group sees this and knows this. The reason why he reunited with Miss T last year was because I was starting to take him down. I was starting to assert my copyrights, and his channels were being taken down. And then I filed a couple suits in the Copyright Claims Board, also known as Small Claims Copyright Court. And then he filed his stalking case on me that got dismissed within the first 20 minutes for insufficient evidence. And then I filed this circuit civil case on him to include malicious prosecution in that stalking case, abuse of process in the way I got served, and how he brought the process server onto his live stream and commercially exploited the process server video. Then there's defamation of character. We all know how much he's done of that. And then there's intentional infliction of emotional distress. If all those things aren't going to prove intentional infliction of emotional distress, this guy was trying to cause me, and all the things he said, I don't know what will. Right? Facts, says Tia. Do you know what you get when you talk through your butt? It's called a fart. Yeah, that's right, Lewis. That was pretty funny, man, actually. Yeah. So here's the thing. After this stream, I'm all caught up. I've got nothing more to talk about because these people didn't say anything today or put anything out that's new and defamatory. I had some updates regarding the date of the first hearing. There was a mix-up about it. It should be no issue. Let's just hope that the defendant doesn't make an issue about it. If he does, we'll just figure it out. But yeah, it's February 6th at 1:30. The JA confirmed it. Yeah, you're probably right. You're probably right, GLM. It's very difficult being around people like that. You know what I mean? It's very difficult being around people like that, right? I don't know if I'd go as far and say that. Anyone can be lovable. They just have to allow love, right? Some people are so closed off, you know. And first of all, before you can love anyone and anyone can love you, you have to love yourself, GLM, and that's where the biggest problem is at. Put a 1 in the chat if you folks agree with that. That's the truth of the matter. That's where it all stems from. Self-love is a requirement to be able to not only love others, but allow them to love you. 111 says, Tia, who could ever learn to love? GLM, are you going live tomorrow morning again? We have a really good time on the GLM show. I've always enjoyed my time on the GLM show. Especially now where she's saying things to intentionally ruin people's transcripts that abuse, getting transcripts of other people's videos on YouTube and trying to weaponize them as fake instigated drama content, right? For commercial exploitation and all that, right? I will be live Saturday morning for sure. Okay. No worries. No worries. ODN, what did ODN say there? He retracted that. They think they can use the system against you, but they're upset when you file a perfectly legal claim with the system. Right. Right. GLM says, I'm Elias Melas. How many times did you pretend to be me on your show, GLM? And I laughed at it because we were looking at it as rhetorical hyperbole, right? Like parody and satire, right? Right? I mean, hey, look, we'll just play the same game the defendant and Miss T play, right? We'll just call it rhetorical hyperbole, right? Your Honor, Honorable Judge Stacy, with the same first name as my you-know-what. You know what that is. I don't have to say it again. Only I am allowed to use rhetorical hyperbole. Not hyperbole, Your Honor, Honorable Judge Stacy. Hyperbole. Because the plaintiff, Mr. Elias D. Melas, with an ASS, not AS, he called it hyperbole on one of his streams before he actually learned what the word meant, Your Honor, Honorable Judge Stacy. So I made a meme mocking video of him, of hyperbole, right? So, Your Honor, Honorable Judge Stacy, if Mr. Elias D. Melas tries to claim hyperbole slash parody slash satire when I accuse him of stuff, you gotta close the book on him. You gotta close the book on him, Your Honor. I'm the only one allowed in this world to use rhetorical hyperbole, Your Honor. Rhetorical hyperbole. Not hyperbole, Your Honor, Honorable Judge Stacy. Rhetorical hyperbole. Like hyperbolic. Would you like me to show an example, Your Honor, Honorable Judge Stacy? I was listening to, or I was looking at the chat replay of GLM stream from earlier, and that Miriam lady was saying the funniest thing about Eli when I hear him say, and Miriam, if you're watching any of this, God bless you, whether you believe or not. God bless you. You're a nice person, and nice to meet you again. Um, she likes it when I say, Your Honor, Honorable Judge Stacy, with the same first name as my you know what, right? They so happen to have the first, or they so happen to have the same first name. It's just a coincidence, right? That's all. I think what really triggers the defendant about his mother, when people talk about his mother in any way, I think what triggers him is not what they're saying. It's more about his own experiences with his mother in the past, in my opinion. Like, if that makes sense, put a one to chat. I think it's more about his past experiences, maybe in his younger days in life. And I'm just, saying that's a possibility. I'm not saying that, you know, anything actually happened, but it's like people have talked about my mom in the past, and it really didn't trigger me that much. They even talked about my dad after he passed away, and that really didn't even trigger me because I know it's stupid, right? So for him to get triggered when people talk about his mom in any way, good, bad, or indifferent, it's telling me that he's holding on to some kind of resentment, in my opinion, towards his mother. That's just what I think. Right? Does that make sense to you folks? I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but just think about it, right? Miriam is so awesome. Yeah, yes, thank you for the introduction to her for both Don and I. ODN says 1, Lewis says 1. Oh, Lewis, that's funny, man. That's because you know the truth about your family, and when they spread lies about your family, you know it's not true. They're just trying to make you upset. Yeah, they're trying to trigger us, Lewis, for content. Makes sense to me, says Tia. We are at 68 minutes. I'm going to get going, folks. Got a lot of love for all of you. Babe, do you have a... There she is. Sandra says, well, yeah, could be the reason he left her upstairs while he took the elevator out of the courthouse, so we've heard. Right. That's true, Sandra. Respectfully, maturely, and professionally, Don says, you intended to hurt me, but God intended it to be good to accomplish what is now being done. Genesis 50:20. One more time. Respectfully, maturely, and professionally, Don says for her quote of the day, you intended to hurt me, but God intended it to be good to accomplish what is now being done. Genesis 50:20. Hi, all, says Sandra. We're about to go off the air. Okay, talk to you tomorrow, Lewis. Hey, Sandra says ODN TV. We're leaving 39 in the box. Lewis says, hi, Sandra. Leaving 39 in the box. 8 thumbs up. Please smash the thumbs up. Please share this out. And we are at 69 minutes, an hour and 9 minutes. Yeah, I agree with you, GLM. Hey, O'Neill, Don, Tia, Lewis, Eli, GLM, girl. Good night, all, says Tia. Lewis, what time is your live? I agree, GLM. Have a good one. Take care, and as always, be good to each other. See you all tomorrow. Good night, everyone.